Hello, hola, ¿qué tal? I'm trying this new thing, this new intro. Is it working? I don't think it is, but welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about my most anticipated releases for what's left of 2020. There's not really much left. I mean, it's almost mid-September, so we only have a couple of months left to go, thank God, because I cannot wait for 2020 to be over. But there are some really interesting books coming out these couple of months, and obviously I don't have everything, but these are just some of the ones that have caught my interest. So if you're interested in knowing what's coming in the next couple of months, then keep on watching. Okay, so I have scooched to the side so that we can present our books right here, and I have my computer so that I do not mess this up. So I have a list of 13 books, which is a lot, and I am going to be talking about them, telling you a little bit more about each one, and obviously the date that they're supposed to come out. So we're gonna start with Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. And this cover, first of all, like, it's amazing. But this is a YA fantasy, and it does have some magic, which I am always there for. But basically, her mother dies, and she is sent to like this, I don't know, boarding school, maybe? So she's sent to this school, and she witnesses like some kind of magic happening, and then they try to erase her memory, and they don't succeed at all, and this causes her own magic to kind of, you know, come to life. And then she discovers that there's a secret society, and that's dedicated to exterminating like some demon type things. So she kind of gets together with this other boy, I believe, that also wants to take down this secret society, and they team up, and whatever goes on, then we will have to read the book to know. It comes out, oh my god, we have already started terribly. It comes out September 15th. So that is probably the first thing that I should be telling you, and I'm not. It comes out September 15th. Next we have Crown Chasers by Rebecca Coffindaffer. She has such an interesting last name. I love it. And again, like, you know my love for covers. Like, this cover is so nice. So in this one, I'm gonna tell you, it comes out September 29th. And basically, we have our main character. Her name is Alyssa, and she is supposed to be like the heir to the throne, but she doesn't want it. She doesn't want to be the heir. She doesn't want to rule this kingdom. The thing is that her uncle is the one that's in power at the moment, and he gets sick, and apparently he's going to die, but he needs a successor. Is that the right word? Successor. Yeah. And everybody's just like expecting it to be our main character because she's his niece. But to everybody's surprise, he actually calls in what is the Crown Chase. Why did I have to think so hard about that? The Crown Chase, which is kind of a competition to figure out who is going to be the heir to the throne. And she, our main character, is also participating in this, even though she didn't want the throne. Now she kind of feels maybe a little bit guilty because her uncle is ill, and she decides that she's going to participate, but apparently it's going to be like a deathly competition and all that. So I am here for it. That sounds so exciting. Next we have Sky Hunter by Marie Lu, and I really don't understand much from the synopsis, but I just want to read it because it's Marie Lu, and you know, I like her writing. So apparently it's like there's a type of war, like there's this federation that goes and destroys nations. That rhymed. Hello, Dr. Seuss. But she goes, there's a federation, and then there's our main character and this other person, and they're kind of trying to fight the federation. I don't know, like the synopsis is so vague that I can't really understand what it's about, but it just says a broken world and overwhelming evil, a team of warriors ready to strike back. And this comes out September 29th. Okay, now we're heading into the October releases, and we're first going to talk about this, which should not be a surprise that this is here. It is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. Everybody's expecting this. I mean, I talked in my last haul that I was super embarrassed that I've actually never read a V.E. Schwab book, even though I have quite a few. But still, I'm excited to pick this up. This comes out October 6th, and this book is basically like a run through time. So it starts in 1714 in France, and she makes a bargain to basically live forever. And apparently, like the other side of the deal is that everybody who meets her forgets her. But then, you know, it's just like a walk through time because, you know, she lives forever. And apparently she meets somebody that remembers her and remembers her name. And apparently that's what we're getting. That's what I'm getting. And I don't need to know anymore. It's V.E. Schwab, and it has a super interesting premise. I can't wait to read all of the historical elements that are going to be in this book. Okay, also coming out on October 6th. I am so excited for this. I had never heard anybody talking about this book. So it is Blaze Wrath Games by Amparo Ortiz. And when I heard Puerto Rico in the synopsis, I was like, what? But yes, they're pitching it as How to Train Your Dragon meets Quidditch. Excuse me, I don't need to know anything else. And the fact that it's written by a Puerto Rican and that it's dragons meets a sport like Quidditch, that sounds amazing to me. And apparently she is the first ever, there's like a competition, so a World Cup, and apparently this is the first time that Puerto Rico has had a representative in this sport. And I'm like, yes, everything, yes. I am all about this. Like I said, it comes out October 6th, and I will definitely be picking this up. It has pretty good ratings already on Goodreads. It doesn't have a lot, but it's at a 4.2, which is pretty good. So super extremely excited for this one. Okay, next we have a little bit of a cheat. I'm cheating a little bit. This is We Were Restless Things by Cole Nagamatsu. And I am already reading this. So this doesn't come out until October 6th as well. October 6th is a very popular release date, apparently. So We Were Restless Things is, oh, it's a debut. I didn't know. It's contemporary, and basically what happens is that this teenage boy drowns in like a invisible lake. At the beginning, I did not understand what was going on, and I was so confused just by the premise. But when I started actually reading the book, I got even more confused because I was like, how? An invisible lake? What do you mean? But yeah, there's an invisible lake that only certain people can see, and he drowned there. I haven't gotten really far into the book because honestly it's kind of strange, and I'm not loving it that much, but still I'm excited to read it. And I mean, it's not bad. I feel like I say that about every book that I don't like. It's not bad, but it's not great. Okay, next we have Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald, and this comes out October 13th. And this one seems so interesting. Okay, so we have our main character. Her name is Emanuela, and she just wants power. Like, that's all she cares about. So she comes from like a wealthy family, and she wants to marry this other guy who comes from a very wealthy family as well, to just have even more power, even though that they are both gay. So obviously, sorry, I touched my mic. Obviously it's just a marriage for power and not because of love, but basically she just wants, that's what's pitched here, like she just wants power. And apparently the only way to get water is through this being. The only source of water is the water Cree, or the water Kreia, which is a mysterious being who uses magic to make water from blood.
Siri, no. Siri, no. No.
Siri's just acting up. So this magical being makes water out of blood. So the way that this creature gets the blood is because they sacrifice these people that have. So apparently the people who get sacrificed are people that have this sort of bruise-like omen, it says here, but it's just like a bruise, and then when they get that, they're supposed to like, hey, I got my bruise here, sacrifice me to the water Kreia, whatever, and make me into water. But our main character, remember what I said, power. She's like, hell no, I am not going to be turned into water. So she does not obviously want to be sacrificed. So the day of her wedding, the mystical creature that turns the blood into water exposes her, and she's like, hey, the bruise, I see it. And apparently they get into like a fight or something, and our main character kills the only source of water they have. So now they have to find how are they gonna make water now? Because the only reason that they had water was because of this creature turning the blood into water. Now they got no water. What are you gonna do? So that's basically the premise. That sounds so different, so interesting. I don't know if I said when this comes out. Yes, October 13th. Okay, next we have These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, and this comes out November 17th. Let me just make sure. Yes, November 17th. So this is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet in Shanghai with street gangs. So it's set in 1926, and it's got like flappers and street gangs and all of that. And I was like, okay, I had never heard anybody talk about this book, and I'm surprised because it sounds really interesting. And people are really into retellings. So the fact that this is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet and nobody's talking about it, why? Next we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. And I just love this cover. It's just so my aesthetic with the skull and the snake and everything. But this one I'm mainly excited because I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and apparently it's very good. But I didn't really know much about what it was about, but basically there's these twin sisters and one of them gets very brutally murdered, and her sister just tries to see like who killed her. There's multiple murders, so she kind of calls for help, and she partners up with Wrath, which is one of the wicked princes of hell. And apparently like she's trusting that they're gonna be a team and that he's gonna help her to kind of see what's going on with all of these murders and to see who murdered her sister. But apparently with him it's not always as it seems. So yeah, comes out on October 27th. This one seems so interesting, and this is another one that I've never heard anybody talk about. But we have Magic, Dark and Strange by Kelly Powell, and this comes out October 27th. And this says that it's the Bone Witch meets Sherlock Holmes. Do with that what you will. But basically it's the story about our main character, Catherine, and she has this gift. So during the day she's just a regular old girl, but during the night she uses her gift to kind of reunite people with their loved ones, their dead loved ones, for just a little bit, just so that they can have like a little bit of closure or speak to each other one last time. But like the catch for this is that every piece of time, so if it's an hour or whatever that she gives to bring back this person, like she loses. So if this person is like awakened for an hour, she loses an hour of her life. But one day she's like tasked to like retrieve a timepiece, and this is where it starts kind of getting confusing. Starts to get confusing. So she is said to retrieve a timepiece. So she calls like the watchmaker's son or something like that to help her dig the timepiece up. But when they go to dig it up, they find that there's this boy alive where they're supposed to be retrieving the timepiece. And I'm like, what is going on? But that sounds so interesting. So now it's like, okay, we have like this boy, the living dead, they're coming back to life. It's a magic that she's never had to encounter, so she doesn't know the danger of it or what's going on, so it's very confusing for her. So I'm excited. That sounds very, very interesting. Okay, next we have Those Who Pray by Jennifer Moffett, and this comes out November 10th. And for this one, I'm gonna read the synopsis because I know I'm not gonna do it any justice, but this sounds just amazing. So it says, Sadie meets the girls in this riveting debut psychological thriller about a lonely college freshman seduced into joining a cult and her desperate attempt to escape before it's too late. That's just the beginning. So college life isn't what Emily expected. She expected to spend freshman year strolling through the ivy-covered campus with new friends, finally feeling like she belonged. Instead, she walks to campus alone, still not having found her place of her people so far away from home. But then the Kingdom finds her. The Kingdom, an exclusive on-campus group, offers everything Emily expected of college and more. Acceptance, friends, a potential boyfriend, and a chance to spend the summer in Italy on a mission trip. But the trip is not what she thought it would be. Emily and the others are stripped of their passports and money. They are cut off from their families back home. The Kingdom's practices become increasingly manipulative and dangerous, and someone ends up dead. Just jaws on the floor, it has dropped. That sounds amazing. I've never read a book relating to cults, but that is just something that's so fascinating to me. If you watch Bailey Sarian, if you don't, what are you doing with your life? Get on it. She's amazing. And I feel like that's where I draw my inspiration to do my makeup and review books, because She does her murder, mystery, and makeup Mondays. Such a huge fan. But she does do a lot of videos on murder mysteries and all of that. And she's done, I think, a few based on cults. And it's always been so fascinating to me, like just everything behind it. The mindset of the people that join it, the leaders. It's so fascinating to me. So I am excited to read like a fiction book about it and see how this author approaches it. I think that that's going to be super interesting to read. Okay, we're almost done. 2 more. Not 4, 2. So we have A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Nemeh. And this comes out November 10th. So basically it's about this teenager, but she has Cuban heritage, and she's very interested in like Cuban cuisine. And she gets that from her abuela's side. I don't know which abuela, her mom or her dad. But anyway, her Cuban abuela. So she likes to cook. She's very into cooking, and she has her abuela dies, but I think that she moves to England for the summer, and then she meets a boy, and then when it's time for her to come back, like she doesn't know if she wants to come back, and she's kind of stuck in between, like, do I follow, what I really want, the roots of my heritage, and go back to the United States, because I think she's from Florida. We get the idea. She doesn't know if she wants to come back to the United States and follow her dream of becoming, like, oh my god, my foot got stuck. Come back to the United States and follow like her dream, and like pay tribute to her abuela by cooking, or stay there with this boy from England that she just met, apparently. I think it's just gonna be like a big, nice, fluffy read, which is going to be nice to throw in because I want to read more mysteries and thrillers and all of that. So it's good to have like a nice, fluffy contemporary romance to just sprinkle in between the horror. Okay, and last but not least, speaking of mysteries and thrillers, we have The Cousins by Karen McManus, and this comes out December 1st. And this is about two cousins that basically don't know each other. They barely know each other, and their grandmother is apparently like very rich, and she disinherits like their parents, so each of the cousins' parents, and they get a letter to go work at their grandmother's estate, her resort for the summer. So their parents are like, yes, you are going because we need to get in grandma's good graces, so you're gonna go there and we're gonna make her happy, and hopefully she'll want us back in her life. But apparently when they get there, it's not as it seems. There's like a bunch of history from the family that they don't know, and it's just them discovering that. So there's not much really to it, except that we know that it's like a mystery thriller and that a lot of possibly creepy things are gonna happen, or probably dangerous things are gonna happen. But yeah, I'm super excited. Like I said, I'm really wanting to read more mysteries and thrillers this year. And now that the spooky season is here, we are ready. So that concludes my list. Obviously, there's going to be more books that I didn't talk about that I am excited for, but I just wanted to start kind of narrowing it down and maybe putting out there some books that I just don't really see being talked about, and that I do feel like they deserve a little bit more. Hopefully. they don't let me down, because maybe there's a reason that they're not being talked about. But anyway, if you enjoyed my list of my most anticipated books for the end of 2020, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!